you very much. Okay, that's carried. Thank you, Linda. Okay, we've got DCL performance report for December to February. Noting that we have a PX report following this as well. So if your questions involve a PX item, you can keep it till later. Right.
Yeah, just for the public part, look, good afternoon everybody. Just to say, construction's commenced on the hot pools. Everything's on budget. There's been a couple of changes just with respect to just finalising some of the design stuff around water connection, but that's just been worked through. That's just an issue of risk and risk contingency. In New Brighton, we're also working well with council staff on looking at the Orem Ave extension, because it's having impact on the private sector investors out there, and what they do to whether that occurs or not, and the timing around that. So that's just been worked through. Waiting on final design agreement on the public realm aspect of Marine Parade and the mall out at New Brighton, so that's progressing. There's investment interest, things out there are proceeding well. Since I was here last time, we've completed works on the south side of the pier, so that was the basketball court and some public artwork that's gone in there, which has been good and well received. Peterborough Central, so the land there, we've completed a procurement process for new developers there. That's just in a stage of Q&A backward and forward before we look to finalise that, and we'll come back to you once that's confirmed. Large focus for DCL over recent months on supporting the global settlement, which you heard earlier. And also around some of the investment facilitation, and it's been some good work done by Steve Clark in assisting some of that, which I can speak to later.
Thank you very much. On the Peterborough quarter, I presume we're not going to be looking at any skyscrapers.
No, it's you will be pleased at the level of interest that's been received, and we're very much focused about being in support of the Central City Action Plan and the outcomes that are achieved there, which so there's total consistency in that regard.
Cool. Sarah?
Thank you. Just a quick one on the hot saltwater pools.
Yep.
I mean, the original intent was to make sure that the hot saltwater pools were a driver of not just people but business.
Yes.
Through into the mall area.
Yep.
Now that the hot pools have a cafe on site, because it wasn't in the original plan.
There was, then it wasn't, and there's a small offering being offered.
Yeah. So when we first discussed it and voted on it in the annual plan 2 years ago. With the additional funding to do it, we were discussing around the fact that people go to the hot pools and they go into the mall for coffee, that kind of thing, walk past the shops.
Yep.
Are we still expecting the same benefits to that mall area from the hot saltwater pools? Yep,
that hasn't changed. So there won't be a significant coffee shop. There'll be an offering for people to buy coffee if they're waiting with their kids are there. It's not going to be a competing facility, because we still want to drive that sort of offering across the road.
I mean, it makes the pools themselves more financially sustainable.
Yep, and you can see Salt on the Pier just with the playground, the amount of use, particularly parents who want to sit outside and watch their kids play while they have a cuppa and sit in the sun.
That's right.
Yep.
But we want them to go and get the coffee, walk past the shops in the mall area.
Yep. Tim?
Two quick ones, which probably or may be better in PX, but just whereabouts are we with
we'll keep it there then.
Well, okay, yep. Well, I can come back to it at PX if you want.
Aaron?
So just around the hot salt water pools, I saw there was an announcement a few months back of Methven getting some regional funding for that.
Yep.
Theirs was in the vicinity of 7 million. Is that their entire project, or is that part of their project?
I think that was part.
So I think about $11 million is their total.
So their total's 11 million? Yeah. Because it looks way better than ours.
Well, it's bigger. Well, it's bigger and more money's been spent.
And it's half the price.
No, they're spending more money on theirs than has been spent here.
I thought ours is in the...
Yep, if you're looking at the total project figure, that's also including the playground and the coastal
hazard
protection along the frontage as well. So
that'll get you every time. They don't have that problem there yet.
No.
But it's coming. No. So... Okay, and...
look, there's an early stage. They haven't secured all of their investors either, so they've got a wee way to go yet.
Yeah, well, obviously, Canterbury's going to become the hot pools capital of the world. there'll be one on every corner. But the one in Brighton, does that change the model? Does it make it better or worse? Does that get looked at with the one going into Methven?
We don't think it'll there'll be an issue from a competition point of view. I mean, the big facility is still going to be the one out at Hamner. This is going to be smaller and modest, but the offering of it being on the beach and near a hospitality and retail offering very close by will be the catalyst for something different, and its proximity to a larger population base.
Okay.
And at the end of the Otakaro Avon River corridor, once that is completed, you're going to have this wonderful linkage from the central city down to New Brighton.
Okay, that's pretty much answered it. Thank you.
Yanni?
It gets a bit hard with all these different agencies doing all this different work in the city, but the car parking strategy, the north, is that something DCL's doing?
We've inputted into some work some time ago, which is sitting collectively with council. So that's some work that has been done jointly. Yep.
So has that been reported back to us?
There was something. Sometime was it last year? There might have been something that came back.
So this is around like the town hall, the performing arts precinct, the Theatre Royal.
Yeah, but we've not done work on that for a wee while now. But other than some of the work we're doing with Peterborough Central, has a potential to help solve some of that problem.
Yeah, and do you, given that you're doing that work in that Peterborough Central and you've done that car parking work, are there any concerns you have around the adequacy or inadequacy of car parking provision that you've identified?
Well, there's definitely shortages in some areas of the city as it currently stands, and there are temporary sites in use that over time are going to be removed for other buildings to go in, so that does need to keep pace. So that does bring in the performing arts precinct and some of those other sites in that area.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, got a resolution to note the content of the report. Moved Jimmy, seconded Andrew. Any debate? I'll put the motion. All in favour say aye. Aye. Against, that's carried.